taking over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible, hanging out the bad seed, the bad apple with a bad attitude, along with the Tutty and Tater King himself, Carver High, this afternoon, ladies. Mafia running it with Luke, I am your father. The rundown is simple. We've got a single shot with Morency today from Vancouver. We're here for 1 hour today on C2C because we're running a Breeders' Cup special from 4 East till 7 East on SportsGrid TV. So to get you cranked up for the Friday-Saturday event at Del Mar Surf and Turf, the Breeders' Cup weekend is upon us. So check out that special today, 4 to 7, right here on SportsGrid. So Carver High, we will dive right in and start with the Yankees' big win last night in the Bronx.
Yes, happy Wednesday to you, Scotty. We don't have a lot of time. We have a lot to do during the time that we do have together, including a Game 5 tonight in the Bronx. That's right. The Yankees able, first team since 1970 to extend a 3-0 World Series. They do it with an 11-4 win over the Dodgers. And believe it or not, how about the bottom of the order, which we, of course, took to task yesterday with how awful they have been. Anthony Volpe, Austin Wells, that whole crew getting it done. And we're going to hit you with it right out of the gate, Scotty. Let's go. Anthony Volpe, big fly, third inning, grand slam, got the Yankees off and running on WFAN in New York.
As Hudson deals, swung on and hit in the air to left field and deep. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a grand slam. Anthony Volpe put a charge in one. A grand slam to left field, and the Yankees now take a 5-2 lead.
I mean, of all people, right, this guy, and I know he's one of the youngest ever to do it. There's no denying he had a huge game, a couple of stolen bases. The bottom three in that order, 5 of 10, couple extra base hits, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs for that bottom of the order. At least somebody showed up.
Yeah, and I think that that's the thing that was most important because they'd looked so lifeless in games 2 and 3, getting down 3-0 in this series that you thought, were they just going to roll over and really make it embarrassing last night? But at least they did give you a little bit of heart. You know, they gave you a little something getting off of the deck last night, which you like to see. Now, does that mean they're going to win the series? You are extremely far away from even having that discussion if they're going to be able to come back and do something that no one has only been done once in baseball, never been done in the World Series. That's
Nothing
for sure.
Is over.
Here we go. This looks like a little light at the end of the tunnel for you. Nothing's over. They got you pumped last night. You're back. You're back in the mix. Cole on the mound tonight. You're feeling good.
Listen, I'm stressed out, but Garrett Cole's going tonight, and I do think he's better than Flaherty. And I think that in Game 1 they screwed up and took him out at 88 pitches, and tonight they should just let him pitch and stop with all the bullshack and the managing and the analytics. They need to win the game. Like somebody said, what are the Yankees on TV today? What are they going to have to do to stay alive? Win.
They need to do the same thing that they did last night. And I know that Cole is the focal point and that Cole, you need him to shove. And I heard him yesterday say how somebody brought up him only throwing the 88 pitches in Game 1. And he said, it's the last game of the season. I have a reserve tank and then another reserve tank after that. And I plan on tapping into all of it in this game. Well, I want to see that, Scotty. You know what that means to me? That means if he's cruising and if he's not giving up runs, that means not just 100, I mean 110. 100, like, I want to see him stay out there and get it done if he's rolling. Gets into trouble late, that's one thing. You got to earn the money tonight. Earn the big check if you're going to be out there and making it happen. You mentioned Volpe, fourth youngest player to hit a grand slam in the World Series ever, which is a tremendous job by him. Let's just say, very excited after the New York kid, and man, they really laid into it. Him taking pictures with Jeter, the pictures of him at the parade, the whole deal with Volpe last night. He was very excited.
Anthony, can you describe the emotion you were feeling when you drove that ball in the third, see it go out?
No, I think I pretty much blacked out as soon as I saw it go over the fence. But, no, we just want to keep putting pressure on him. And I think everyone had confidence in everyone in the lineup that someone was going to get the big hit. And we've been having such good at-bats and putting such good swings on the ball that, I mean, we just felt like it was only a matter of time.
Well, I'll give them this. They had good at-bats last night for the first time. There has been no good at-bats in the World Series for the Yankees until last night. And, to see those three produce at the bottom of the order, I almost fell over because they've been awful. I mean, the entire lineup has been awful. And those guys are just automatic outs. I couldn't believe what I saw from Austin Wells, that he hit that bomb to right center off the top of the wall that Volpe screwed up and didn't run on and got held up at third by that crappy third base coach that sent Stanton home. They should fire him. And all I know is, then Wells hit one into the second deck later in the game. And then Verdugo. I mean, they all produced last night, and they hadn't done a thing prior to that, so it was a revelation. I'll give you that much. Of all people, like this guy, who I think is talentless hitting. I can't even believe he hit a grand slam in a World Series game, in an elimination game. I really can't believe he did it because he can't hit to save his ass. All year long, that guy can't hit.
Well, if they get more from those guys tonight, they're going to be back on a plane to L.A. The next day. They're going to be going back to L.A. for Game 6, which is when you really can start to think about it a little bit. But we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Aaron Judge, who did have an RBI single in the 8th when they were putting it away, all those add-on. Now, he did get – look, we've obviously he still hasn't homered, but he was on base, 4 times last night, had the RBI. He took some walks, got hit by a pitch. At least he got on base a bunch of times last night, and maybe that
I'll give you that.
Be just the little start of something for him tonight when he faces Flaherty. Here he is, though, still just taking it one game at a time.
Does the circumstance, the back's against the wall, that must-win situation, does that circumstance in some ways relieve the pressure? You kind of go out there and just play more aggressive because you have to?
It's all the same. Like I said, we're just focused on one game. Even when the series was 0-0, it's just about winning one game and kind of going from there. So just because our backs are against the wall, it really hasn't changed that mindset, especially with this group who's been through a lot. So we're just going to keep doing that.
I will keel over if they win again, honestly. You got to be kidding.
They're winning tonight.
Really?
They're winning tonight. I think now, again, doesn't mean they're winning the series. I don't think that we can start to get into that.
When would it be? Friday and Saturday? Oh, the humanity.
Yeah, look, I think that Saturday, I think A-Rod said it in the post last night. I think Saturday's when it would start to, the Dodger bats would obviously, Friday night, I should say, Game 6, they'd get a little tight. But I think that Cole's going to pitch well tonight, and I think the Yanks are going to score runs off Flaherty tonight. I think they're going to win.
Let's go.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
You can catch Morency's Sports Rage weeknights at 10 East, 7 West, and he's on coast to coast every day. One shot with him today from Vancouver. Programming note, again, we're on from 3 to 4 East today, and then a Breeders' Cup special from 4 to 7, the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar Friday and Saturday, so we're gearing you up for that. Also, one other programming note, Friday, of course, tomorrow is for Halloween, and then Friday, we're going to be on at 3:30 to 6:30 as opposed to 3 to 6. So we're doing 3:30 to 6:30. They're going to run a Bowden Blitz show at 3. We'll come on at 3:30 and go to 6:30 this Friday. So there you go. Write that down on your forehead with a Sharpie or on the fridge on a note. Tell your dog, tell your neighbor. Morency, you saw the Yankees bottom of the order come alive last night in the Bronx. Volpe a grand slam. How do you feel about the Game 1 rematch with Flaherty and Cole tonight?
Not overly enthusiastic about having to play this game tonight, Scott, and I do have some concerns right now moving forward. As you just stated, the Yankee bats finally came alive last night. And, I don't know, you could say momentum doesn't carry over in the playoffs, and I don't really think it does from a game to game. But at the same point in time, I got to believe that the Yankee hitters feel a little bit more confident right now than they did. Now, with that being stated, the Dodgers kind of conceded it last night, Scott, which I wasn't a massive fan of, but it seems like everybody in the baseball world sort of agreed, you know what, don't roll out your top, your relievers. You're locked and loaded. You got 3 cracks at this right now, and it's all hands on deck. Their bullpen is set. If you'll notice, I mean, dude, they started a kid last night, Scott, that had like 6 Major League Baseball appearances, bro. In a World Series, like we couldn't come up with something a little bit better than that. Right? So, here we are right now. So, yeah, I'm listen, Scott, I got the anxious nerves, bro, without a doubt. I called Dodgers in 6 before the series started. So we're kind of here now. I really wouldn't be surprised if we get back to Los Angeles on Friday night. But with all that being stated, too, Scott, I got my concerns. Shohei Ohtani's playing with one arm. I mean, should even be playing at this point. Now, I get it, it's the World Series. If you can't run and you've got to hold your shoulder in place as you run the bases, I don't know how he's swinging an effing bat, Scott.
Yeah.
So the longer this goes on, the more this becomes a problem, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like his arm's about to fall off. Like they're talking about, yeah, this guy's he's going into surgery immediately after the game type of thing. So, like, what are we doing here? We've got to finish this off for Shohei's, for his sake, bro. You know what I mean? Like, hypothetically, what if we get one in Game 6 and Game 7, and we have a couple of days off now, and it gets worse, and they kick in, and he's like, listen, I can't swing the bat right now. Suddenly, you don't have Ohtani. Things can spiral in a hurry, Scott, but I'm not panicked. I still think the Dodgers win the World Series.
I mean, Freeman, Edman, Muncy, Betts, Will Smith, it goes on and on. Teoscar. I actually have, no worry whatsoever about their lineup. Freddie Freeman hits a home run every game.
You have to bet him to do it again tonight, don't we?
I mean, honestly.
And he probably will. It's been unbelievable. But with that being stated, listen, Cole pitched well in Game 1. I was there. He pitched well. The Dodgers only got a run on him. Flaherty was good as well. So we'll see what happens under the pressure tonight. But, man, the stakes couldn't be higher tonight. You talked about it yesterday, Scott. Other than the drama of Friday night in Game 1, which was epic, the air was sort of taken out of the World Series, right? They weren't the most exciting games. The Dodgers were winning easily. So at least now we have a series on our hands. And, everybody wants to see a Game 6 and a Game 7 potentially, but I think it could get to 6, guys. Like I said, I predicted Dodgers in 6 before the series started. So I think it could still get to 6. I think tonight is just a pure toss-up, Scott. Anything can happen.
I thought Games 2 and 3 were boring, and I thought last night I couldn't believe my eyes that Volpe hit a grand slam because, my daughter hits better than him. And then all of a sudden, this guy has this huge game, stealing bases, everything else. And,
after the base running blunder, don't forget, too, right? So that was the blunder.
Well shot.
But think about it, Scott. The Yankees, and I say this as a Dodger fan, there were a few times that it was like, I can't believe that ball didn't go over the fence, right? Like the Yankees missed home runs by literally like the length of a baseball, man. It hit like the TikTok sign on the top of the fence instead of going over. Volpe doesn't score somehow with a ball to center field, deep to center field off the wall. Like the Dodgers were dodging a lot of bullets early. Pardon the pun. They were dodging some bullets early. And for people who wonder, I don't know if a lot of people even realize what the Dodgers name is, but it was from the Brooklyn days of people dodging the trolleys on the street trolleys. So that's where the Dodgers name has come from. People often don't know their names actually, what they mean. But that's what it means. So they were dodging trolleys and they were dodging bullets last night, and they were dodging jackass fans in the stands as well, Scott. And that's another thing. What is it, Yankee tradition to F with the baseball in a playoff game? Couldn't help but think of the Tedesco stuff back with the Baltimore Orioles and that Mayer kid years ago. But the fact that people glorify, I saw that Yankee fans were asking for his autograph and taking pictures.
Whatever. He's a loser.
Loser, bro. Yeah,
he's a loser.
And if you see this guy and you run up, I gotta go, hey, buddy, then you're a loser too.
Honestly, and not only that, they've been banned from the stadium. So, I hope it was all worth it to get your 5 minutes. Forget about 15 minutes. Your 5 minutes of fame.
5 minutes of fame.
Oh, just stop already.
But Scott, isn't it sad? We're in a world now, and I guarantee you they're happy. They're like, oh, it was worth it to get kicked out and stuff. People are just happy, Scott, to be famous. Even if you're a jackass, bro. This is the society we're in right now. Just point blank.
Yeah, actually, it's not all it's cranked up to be. Believe me.
In fact, the sportsbook will probably sign him to an endorsement deal, and he'll be pimping picks next week. It's the way it works.
He'll be pimping. He'll have his own service up by Saturday morning.
Yeah. The Paul brothers going to sign him to a podcast deal.
Any of those football, college tonight? You're on real quick.
Yeah, I'm going Liberty tonight. It's gut check time for the Flames, baby.
He will be 2-7 against top 5 opponents in his 6 full seasons with the Buckeyes.
Now you're going to take on the road, one of the best rush defenses in the country in Penn State. You're already having trouble rushing the ball. So what does that mean, Ben? That means Ohio State is going to have to rely on Will Howard to throw the ball on the road.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The game started last night, Carver High, and this guy Freeman hits another home run, and I'm like, I think I wrote immediately on X. I was like, can't they just walk him? I mean, honestly, every single time the guy walks up to the plate to start the game, he hits a home run. Like, and then they just keep pitching to him. It is beyond me. Like, you know, if it's Judge and he's hitting all these home runs, or it's Bonds and he's hitting all these home runs, they walk him. They just walk him. Sosa, McGuire, they eventually just start walking him because you can't pitch to him. I can't believe they pitched to the guy. I won't be surprised at all he hits another one tonight. I mean, I was like, holy shack. I'm sitting in there watching the game going, how many effing times are they going to let this guy hit a home run? Like, it really is grating on me. Like, my health is not good right now. I have been spending days on end cussing and swearing and yelling. And then I got like my mother-in-law, calm down. I said, shut up, calm down.
It really doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm stunned too. A Major League record, World Series record now. 6 straight World Series games Freddie Freeman homers in. 4 in this series and, of course, 2 at the end when the Braves beat the Astros a couple of years ago in those last 2 games. But I got an idea tonight, especially since, as Gabe brought up a great point to you, and I thought it was more evident last night in game number 4, Ohtani's compromised in a major way. Now, that doesn't mean that he still can't hurt you. Like, I still think, because he hit a ball off the wall, I guess it was game 3 on Monday night. So, but he can't run. He's like dragging his shoulder around like as he's running the bases. I can't imagine those swings feel good when he takes them. There's no way he'd be playing if this was the middle of July.
So when he's hitting, that would be his left shoulder. He's a lefty, right? That's his throwing shoulder.
Yeah. So it's his back shoulder from where he's hitting. But still, whatever it is, like it's clearly painful for him, and it's almost like he's got something under. You saw him like holding
Are they
like
going
a
to
brace or
operate
something.
on it? Really, like Morency said, he's having surgery right after the season. Then how does that affect him pitching? Because next year they said over and over, they've said he's going to pitch next year and hit. Oh, he throws righty.
Yeah, he throws with his right arm, so he'll be.
I hope his right arm falls off. How's that sound?
Either way, we have Game 5 tonight in the Bronx as the Yankees try to get back on a plane to Los Angeles with the Dodgers. Dodgers are going home no matter what. The question is, will the Yankees be joining them? It will be Garrett Cole going up against Jack Flaherty, same starters that we had in game number one. As of right now, Yankees favored again, just like yesterday, minus 144 here. A couple of hours before first pitch, plus 122 for the Dodgers.
We got to bet on them. We got to get a game 6, and the Mets did it.
We're getting
so
it.
Why not? Like, get a game 6 back in L.A. They had to fly to L.A. They won that, game 5, and they went back to L.A. and they lost. So be it. You know what? The Yankees deserve a 12-hour flight the way they played in the first 3 games of this series. They deserve a 12-hour flight, 6 there, 6 back to. If they lose, they deserve to have to sit on a plane for 12 hours because there's nothing worse than that flight. Like, I fly that flight all the time to San Diego, to Vegas, and I got to tell you, it is the worst thing ever. It really is. It's like you get on that plane, it takes off, and you know you're going to be on it for 6 hours. And, like, imagine, I know people that won't even go to Hawaii because they're like, I'm not flying 12 hours. It's 12 hours from New York to Hawaii. And then you got to, it's actually, 6 to LA, and then it's 4 more to Hawaii. So it's 10 hours. It's not even 12. But most people stop in LA. I think the Yankees deserve a 12-hour flight no matter what. Even if they go out there and lose, it doesn't matter because their punishment will be having to fly 12 hours.
I think the Yankees win tonight, by the way. I think they are going to force that game 6. I think Cole's going to pitch well, and I think they're going to get some big hits.
Who's going to pitch in that game?
That would be Rodon again. Rodon and Yamamoto.
Oh, and he just gives up long balls left and right. This guy serves it up. He is the worst. Oh, my God. You just had to bring him up. They got to change their plan, no matter what.
The Yankees are, by the way, they just put the lineup out. Same lineup as last night, which I thought would happen. So Chisholm 4, Stanton 5, Rizzo, Volpe, Wells, Verdugo. Same bottom of the line. Worked last night. Boone going back to it tonight.
I need Rizzo to hit one out tonight.
He will be 2-7 against top 5 opponents in his 6 full seasons with the Buckeyes.
Now you're going to take on the road one of the best rush defenses in the country in Penn State. You're already having trouble rushing the ball. So what does that mean, Ben? That means Ohio State is going to have to rely on Will Howard to throw the ball on the road.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, so what are the odds to win the World Series here, Carver High?
All right, so I think I told you yesterday when it was 3-0, it was what, 11 or 12 to 1, I think, for them to come back 12 to 1. Gets pretty much cut in half, plus 660 now, if you think they'll win the next 3 games. Still not enough for me, personally, for them to win 3 more games in a row. It's a very healthy number there, that's for sure. I also wanted to tell you, I will tater hunt tonight. The Soto 4-1 is pretty juicy tonight. I see plus 400 for Soto off of Flaherty, and I think that I'm going to get involved with that. And you know what? I played Austin Wells last night. I tweeted it out right before the game. Somebody asked me because we never got to it yesterday, and I went with Wells. I just felt he might run into one. Maybe he found a little something last night. Plus 800 for Wells tonight again. Maybe he found a little something at the plate. I think I'm going to go a little Happy Meal with Austin Wells as well tonight at Yankee Stadium.
Anybody else? Stanton, Rizzo?
Well,
Judge?
I mean, do you want me to give you the Dodger guy? I mean, it's probably.
Yeah, I think Freeman.
I think I can't play
Freeman and Edman up there.
I haven't been on the train, and I'm not going to get onto it. If I had to play a Dodger tonight, which I probably will, I think I would play Betts at plus 470 tonight. I feel like Betts is going to try to do something big for the Dodgers tonight. So that would be the guy that I lean to. And the number's pretty good at plus 470.
How about Betts starting up with that fat guy that stole the ball from him? I thought he was going to get in a fight.
You're right. And I don't blame him, to be quite honest with you. The guy grabbed his wrist and his hand and was like prying the ball out of his glove. But what I thought Betts did that was very good was after the game, he was asked 600 times about that incident in right field, and he would not talk about it. All he kept saying was, we lost the game, it doesn't matter. That's what he just kept repeating to the reporters over and over again. There's nothing to talk about. I'm fine. I'm not hurt. We lost. That's it. There's nothing else to say. There's nothing else to say about it. So I thought Betts did a nice job not making it a bigger situation after the game.
You're cool with just trying to get this thing tonight, not worrying about anything else. Just win tonight. Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about odds, sports books, bettors, fat guys stealing balls out of gloves, loser friends next to him, the guy wearing sliding gloves. It was so embarrassing.
That was nonsense, and they should throw those guys out, and they should not let them in there again tonight. All right, we'll just say that. Those guys should not be. I mean, you can't do.
They're not getting in tonight.
The guy physically put his hand in the glove, ripped the ball out. The other guy's take a walk. I mean, seriously. Game 5 tonight in the Bronx. Let's go. I'm looking forward to it, as we all are.
I got a game at the same time they tip. I got a game.
Oh, man.
And I got to play the whole game.
The good thing is for you, we're back to like old Yankee baseball. Like these games are like 4 hours long.
It should be on till midnight.
You got. I don't know what time you're tipping off, but
I'm tipping off at 8 allegedly. So and let's say 8:10 because they're always late. Same time as the baseball game.
You'll be home by the third inning. You kidding me? You're gonna miss 2 innings. That's it. You'll be home by the third if you're starting at 8:10. One other note for baseball, and then we're gonna try to fly through a whole bunch of other stuff before we get out of here. The White Sox are going to hire the Texas Rangers associate manager, Will Venable, as their next manager. So the White Sox, all right, that should excite the fan base. Will Venable.
Really, honestly, they're so bad right now. They're in a cycle of such horrific, futility and putrid organization overall. It's almost like when I heard that he got the job today, I was like, oh, there's still a franchise? Honestly, that's how bad they are. I'm surprised they're even still in Major League Baseball. I mean, have you ever seen anything like it? The Marlins draw more than them. There was literally games that they had there this year with less than 1,000 people there. Easily. And you know it.
It was bad scene. Really bad scene. Will Venable, the new manager of the White Sox.
What could be worse than taking that job?
Some NFL notes for you today. The Colts made the Joe Flacco thing official. But interestingly, Steichen said it's not only for this week. It's going forward. So this is not a 1 week, let's see how things go, and then we're going to put Richardson back in. They're playing Flacco for the foreseeable future. as their quarterback. So they have smartened up there.
They drafted this guy and with a first-round pick. And he is – and they're going to throw away the key? They're just – that's it? They're giving up on this guy forever, like already? Like, that's kind of weak and embarrassing if you ask me. I think they got to take a look at themselves as to what they're doing to this kid because he's an athlete. He is a stud, and they are putting him in the cupboard for an old man. Now, listen, I think Flacco's a better quarterback, but I think the bigger job here is to fix this kid. That's the job at hand. Flacco don't need anything. He can play. But they have to fix this kid Richardson. Otherwise, they're going to lose him, and they're going to eat it hard.
Well, there already was some back and forth with that today. I saw Richardson, I guess the reporters went and talked to him, and he kind of said that Steichen didn't really explain to him why he lost the job, I guess. So, and then I saw Michael Pittman, the receiver, say I had to find out on social media. There's some disconnect right now in the Colt locker room, and that's going to be a problem. That's usually not good.
You have a problem with Steichen. I think he can coach. And, the guy that's been kind of bizarre for my money is Ballard. I think he's been running this thing. Frankly, no one wants to say it, but kind of running the Colts into the ground the last few years.
Yeah, they've done a very strange job. Here it was. He told me they're going to go with Joe. Did Steichen ask you why? No, not necessarily. So Richardson seems a little miffed as to why he's not playing this week. And the receivers have kind of given off the same feel. We'll see how it goes for the Colts in Mini on Sunday.
Idea. How about the guy quit in the middle of the game? How's that for why you're not playing?
He tapped the helmet for
he
a
said,
play.
I got to come out. I'm tired. Like, he's 22 years old. Like, we don't need to really discuss this, do we? Why you're not playing this week? Like, you haven't figured it out yet, kid? Like, no one will tell you that loves you, your agent, your girlfriend, nobody, your mom or dad, nobody will say, maybe it had something to do with you quitting on the team.
It's possible that's played a bigger role than they've let on so far with
Honestly.
it. The Jaguars trade offensive lineman Cam Robinson to the Vikings for a 5th-round pick. Trade deadline less than a week away in the NFL. I'm sure we'll see some more deals coming down. The Steelers cornerback Cam Sutton had his 8-game suspension lifted. He's back, Scotty, reinstated for the Steelers. So they will have Cameron Sutton back on the field.
I mean, that makes him even tougher. Like, that guy can flat out play, and they're 6-2 going into the bye, and they get him back? I mean, honestly, they got a lot of good things going on right now. Their offense is scoring. They're moving the ball. They're spreading it out. Last week, 6 receivers. This week, 8 receivers. Handled the Jets. Handled the Giants. They win on prime time. They win on Monday nights. They win on Sunday nights. They win on the road. Now their next big test is against Daniels and the Commanders coming out of the bye, and then they play the Ravens.
T.J. Watt has the most sacks, forced fumbles, and quarterback hits since 2019. And you sent me the list of it. He has them all by a lot.
I know.
All 3 of them. There's a significant gap between him and whoever is second on all 3 of those lists.
That's because he's the best defensive player in the NFL, but the media
Correct.
and others are convinced it's other people always. But
it's like they always want to give it to someone else. Like, I've even seen people banging the drum, and not that this guy's having a bad year. He's been a badass this year, but they're like, well, Dexter Lawrence is having a great year for the Giants. T.J. Watt's the best defensive player in football.
They never win. You're not the best player in anything when all you do is stat up and never win.
Can't have it. Not at all. All right, 1 or 2 other things, and then we have a lot of NBA tonight. There's a ton of NBA rack on Wednesday.
Why not?
He will be 2-7 against top 5 opponents in his 6 full seasons with the Buckeyes.
Now you're going to take on the road, one of the best rush defenses in the country in Penn State. You're already having trouble rushing the ball. So what does that mean, Ben? That means Ohio State is going to have to rely on Will Howard to throw the ball on the road.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Again, a programming note, we're on till 4, and then from 4 to 7 East, a Breeders' Cup special on SportsGrid today, getting you ready for the Breeders' Cup Friday and Saturday at Del Mar, the Surf and Turf special in SoCal, Cal, in Del Mar. So the Daily Racing Forum getting involved today on SportsGrid with a 3-hour special coming up at the top of the hour from 4 to 7. So we're here just till 4 on Coast to Coast on this midweek Where Do You Hurt Wednesday. So famous Jameis and Kirk Cousins, the offensive players of the week?
Correct. Jameis Winston on the AFC side, Cousins on the NFC side. And we noted this because, and once again, it's amazing that the week that Deshaun Watson doesn't play, the quarterback of the Browns is the AFC offensive player of the week. It is amazing. And we are going to continue to hammer that point home as we move forward. All right, lots of football tomorrow. We'll go through Jets, Texans. I'll give you all these best and worst against the spread. We do that every week. We'll do it all tomorrow in our normal time together on Coast to Coast because we have a lot of NBA rack tonight. Full slate of rack if the Yankees get up 11 or 12-0 and you want to turn over to some rack and get away from the World Series. Last night, Nuggets beat the Nets 144-139 in overtime. How about this game from Joker? 29 points, 18 boards, 16 dimes. Joins Oscar Robertson as the only players in NBA history to reach that kind of a stat line. That's a sick game. I know it's overtime, and they've struggled. They've played overtime. Now, they won both games, but overtime with, Toronto and Brooklyn on back-to-back nights? Not ideal, but they won. So I guess that's all that matters. But those teams suck. And they needed overtime to keep all of them.
They won, and so they were down by 18 in the one game and down by 15 in the second game, and they won them both in overtime. And they had started 0-2, so you can say whatever you want about them. They're 2-2, and in both games that they won, Joker went off.
Westbrook had a good night last night, too. 22 points and 5 dimes in 20 minutes off the bench. So he's been helpful for them. And the Nets head coach, that Fernandez dude, said that Ben Simmons is not going to play back-to-backs. I didn't know he was playing at all, but he's not going to play back-to-backs going forward. What a shame.
You, I'm sick and tired of hearing about Ben Simmons and what his status is in life. I really am. He is the most worthless player in the NBA now, in the entire league. I care one effing minute about him not playing in every game or back-to-back. He never plays anyway. The guy gets injured every year. His back, it's this, it's that. I'm stoned. I'm done with Ben Simmons stories. Who cares? I don't even care if he had a 35-point game. I'm done with this guy.
he might not score 35 points all season with him not playing in those back-to-backs. So you never know with him. Kyrie had 35 for the Mavs as they beat the T-Wolves in Mini. All right, I have a very lengthy injury report before tonight's games. Bogdanovich on the Hawks, going to miss at least 4 weeks, non-surgical procedure for him. Lonzo Ball, wrist sprain. So Lonzo hurt again, but not too long, only 10 days never ends for Lonzo Ball. Scotty Barnes got elbowed the other night, orbital fracture. He's going to be out at least 3 weeks for Toronto. And did you see Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla on the local radio in Boston for his weekly spot saying that they should bring fighting back in the NBA because it's allowed in hockey? I think it would add to the entertainment value for the fans. He was serious. He wasn't making a joke. Let them fight on the court, Scotty, is what Joe Mazzulla says.
Listen,
we like this guy now.
You know, they fight anyway. It's inevitable. There's all kinds of scraps, separations. I've seen hands thrown, haymakers. I think there is still fighting in the NBA. It's just when you least expect it.
Joe Mazzulla. Rudy Gay retires after 17 seasons in the NBA. God bless and good luck to Rudy Gay. He could shoot. He could shoot. Yeah, he could shoot. And he could score. Nice job for him. All right, here we go tonight. Toronto's in Charlotte against the Hornets. Hornets minus 6.5, 224.5 the total.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I kind of like Charlotte at home with Ball and company on their floor. And the Raptors don't have Barnes. Yeah, I'll take Charlotte and 6.
The Lakers are in Cleveland tonight against the Cavs. Cavs are out to a 4-0 start, playing some good ball, and they're 4.5-point favorites against the Lakers. And I already saw, it's like they give you the warning now 24 hours in advance. Bronny hasn't played since opening night, but the word on the street is Bronny's going to get burned with his dad in Cleveland tonight. They're scheduled events now when Bronny's going to play.
So Charlotte's laying 6 in that game at the Hornets' nest, by the way. They're not getting. So Cleveland's undefeated. They've looked really good. But if anyone can beat him, it's LeBron James, who averages almost 29 points a game when he plays in Cleveland. Whenever he goes back there, he haunts them. And no one's been able to stop Davis. I don't care one lick about Bronny because he doesn't matter at all. There's so much more going on with his team with Reeves and Hachimura and LeBron and his sniffles and Davis. I think they can beat the Cavs tonight.
East Finals rematch in Indiana, Celtics and Pacers. Pacers not out to a good start. They're 1-3 here. Boston minus 6.5 on the road, favorites at Indiana.
I still think it's Boston, right? Like, you can count on them to play ball every night, and their bench fills it up. Pritchard fills it up. They have so many guys that can score and shoot, and I got to tell you, the Pacers haven't looked good. So what makes you think they're going to look good against this team? I don't. I'll take Boston.
The Pistons are in Philadelphia against the Sixers tonight. Minus 4.5 for Philadelphia. No Embiid and no George yet for them.
Either. Well, I heard George was playing, so we'll see if that comes to fruition or not. Could it be a game-time decision? Either way, I honestly think the Sixers maul them tonight in Philly. Laying 4, this is like the number one play for me. They're going to maul them.
Wizards beat the Hawks in Atlanta the other night. Tonight, they play again in D.C. Hawks minus 5.5 on the road.
I might take those points.
I'll take the points, too. I have a few other games when we come back, including the Knicks are in Miami against the Heat tonight to see them.
He will be 2-7 against top 5 opponents in his 6 full seasons with the Buckeyes.
Now you're going to take on the road one of the best rush defenses in the country in Penn State. You're already having trouble rushing the ball. So what does that mean, Ben? That means Ohio State is going to have to rely on Will Howard to throw the ball on the road.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Speaking of teams that haven't started well, the Knicks, they're 1-2. They're playing in Miami tonight, and they're favored.
They are favored, small favorite, 1.5, but still they are in Miami against the Heat, 215.5 total.
I mean, can we get Brunson and this team a W tonight against the Heat? Can we get them to show up for a game for once?
It would be nice. The Magic are 5.5-point favorites in Chicago. First, of course, Banchero coming off the 50-piece the other night. Magic favorites on the road.
I mean, the thing is, no ball, but Levine's been having 30-point games, so I'm inclined to take the Bulls and the number. I know
Grizzlies
Banchero's tough, but...
Yeah, Banchero's been real tough. Grizzlies are at home for the Nets, so a back-to-back for the Nets, and they're getting 11.5 in Memphis against the Grizz.
You know, I think the Grizzlies win this game with Ja and company at home, but that's a big burger. If I can get 12 with Cam Thomas on the floor, the way he's been scoring, 30-plus points in these games, they might very well be in it. So I like them to cover the number.
Spurs are in OKC, Thunder minus 12.5.
Yeah, that's a team that I think is brutal to play in their building. I like Oak City tonight to rub out the Spurs.
Warriors beat the Pelicans last night at home. They play the Pelicans at home again tonight, where Pelicans, the Golden State's minus 2.5.
Yeah, I got the 1.5 last night with the Dubs, if you remember, and I got to be honest, I'm inclined to go with them again. I mean, they played them,
yeah.
They handled them easily.
I agree. I'm going to go with them again as well. Clippers minus 8.5 at home at the Intuit against the Portland Trailblazers tonight.
Yeah, I think this has potential as well to be handled by the Clippers in Inglewood. I think they'll cover that number.
There you go. Good night of NBA Rack. How about hockey before
Everybody
we run
loves
out of
hockey.
here? Flower did win his final game in Pittsburgh last night. 5-3. The Wild beat the Penguins at the PPG. Very emotional for Marc-Andre Fleury after the game. Caps beat the Rangers. The story there was Ovi got 2, Scotty. 856, 857. He's 38 goals away. Something to watch as we continue on throughout our NHL season. Connor McDavid's going to miss 2 to 3 weeks with an ankle injury that he suffered on Monday night. A bunch of games tonight, 6 in fact. How about the Islanders? How gutless are they? They lost at home to the Ducks last night, and now they're playing in Columbus tonight against the Blue Jackets. They'll probably lose again. The Jets are in Detroit against the Wings. Tampa's in Colorado.
Yeah, I like Columbus at home. They put 6 on the board the other night in their game in their building. No one saw that coming. I like them there at plus 115. The Islanders are favored somehow. I don't know why. And then I like Winnipeg at Little Sleezers in Detroit. They had their first loss. Let's see if they can get back on the winning track and I like Colorado at minus 115 at the ball over Tampa.
Late night, Calgary's in Utah. We have Vegas and the Kings in Los Angeles at the Crypto, and the Devils are in Western Canada, starting in Vancouver against the Canucks.
Yeah, I think Utah gets it done on home ice and Salt Lake Shakers. That game in L.A., I'm going to take the Kings to get lucky against Vegas at the Crypt at that price on TNT at plus 115, and then the Devils are in Vancouver, and I like the Canucks here on home ice.
There you go. Hockey for us tonight. So there you go. I know this is short for us today. The excitement is Game 5 tonight. We come back tomorrow. We'll know if we're heading back to L.A. for Friday night or if, you know what I always do with you the day after the season ends, or are we going to be showing you the odds for next year's World Series? It'll be one or the other tomorrow on Coast to Coast.
I don't even want to hear that. I really don't want to hear that. I want to see Garrett Cole go out, get it done, and give us something to live for Friday night, and possibly a miracle would be a Game 7 on Saturday. That would be incredible. It'd be like the Edmonton Oilers. They came back from 3-0 down and forced that 7th game. I think it'd be fun if that happened.
And, of course, tomorrow we'll do a lot more NFL and college. You gave me so much great James Franklin stuff. I can't wait to give it to everybody tomorrow on Coast to Coast, how putrid he is against good teams. On Ferrall-Halloween, we have Jets and Texans tomorrow. How about this that just came across my desk? Irish and Miami are going to open next year at Hard Rock, first weekend of the season. Now that's a game, baby. Irish and the Canes down at Hard Rock. Let's go.
That's going to be really good. I think that game down there Saturday with Duke and Manny Diaz at 6-2 against the Canes is going to be equally as impressive. We'll see you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock for Coast to Coast. Breeders' Cup special coming up.
Can't sometimes look at the point spreads and just, understand what they mean. Because going into the game, you're looking at it, it's like, okay, Denver's playing better football. They won a couple in a row. Now they're going back home.
The Broncos have to turn around and play on a short week. Sean Payton is returning to New Orleans. The Saints just gave up almost 600 yards of offense to the Buccaneers. So it's going to be interesting kind of gut check.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
But if you're playing the odds and you're looking for something that is a more favorable opportunity, it seems like Bo Naylor doing nothing tonight and just watching paint dry is a good investment.
I'm assuming he's in the bottom 3 or 4 of their lineup, which also puts him at risk to be pinch hit, which is great if you have that under. Gets up once or twice, and all of a sudden later in the game, they pinch hit for him, and then you're just free and clear.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
That kid on the 2-point conversion play was wide open on the right side of the end zone, and the kid threw it about 15 rows over his head.
People crystallized Georgia and Alabama. They put them on the shelf above everyone else, and they're just not there this year. I thought the kid Beck was great on Saturday, but they barely beat Mississippi State, who is porous.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.